So I wanted to open this up to the floor. I'm sure you guys have some burning questions you want to ask, so go ahead.
Are we standing for this?
Yeah, you can stand.
So without a doubt, I think that the metaphor of storytelling to parable, for example, is a really compelling idea of what it means to convey values by virtue of storytelling. And I contemplate like what it means to be a storyteller in an era where the distractions are much less than we currently live in which when you walk out of having been told a story in parable, you get to live the luster of the experience and what it means to try to aspire greater than what you are by the storytelling. There are movies today like I just recently Ted, or even going back to Truman Show, where you can walk out of that theater and say, wow, that really affected me in a major way, and it lives with you for like a day or so. And I wonder whether or not some of the contemplation about us as content providers isn't necessarily about creating the content that makes that experience, which lives for about a day or two, or more about whether or not there's a way to extend the conversation or extend the experience that when someone walks out of a theater, does that luster live longer than the couple of days that they feel like they are trying to aspire to something greater than what they are?
Do you have an idea of what that is?
I don't.
I think there's films that do. I mean, like Truman Show and Bruce Almighty. I mean, those movies still affect me today. So I think they do that. I think that there's lots of films that do achieve that. I don't know how. I don't know if it's possible to define how that occurs. It's just it's like it happens. It's like it just sort of occurs. It's like a magic moment. You know, there's these magic moments.
I mean, I guess that one of the ideas that I did have just while this question came up is whether or not we've created a barrier between our stars and the audience in such a way that the audience that so aspires to be connected to the stars, that if a film is able to convey a message that does live with the audience, is there some way that the stars or anyone else that is respected in that film can then continue the dialogue in a way that keeps the audience still engaged in that topic?
We did that with the BLEEP. They still do BLEEP conferences all over the world except for in the United States, which baffles me. But I mean, like, there's still people that do conferences, and all the scientists in the film, you know, still travel around the world doing that. In Killing Buddha, we're doing something different. We're actually filming. We're doing a special website for certain. You have to sign up in a certain way, and they're all the people that get into that particular site are participating in the making of the movie. So they'll be going along the ride. They'll be talking to the actors. They'll be talking to the filmmakers. We'll have a live feed going on the set the whole time for them to be able to experience, because there is an experience that happens when you make a movie, and people really wanted to be a part of that. And so, you know, that's one thing. I mean, does that answer your question? Because that is one thing that we
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just wonder whether or not if studios are willing to actually engage in the practice of trying to convey more conscious media, they're willing to engage their actors to then propagate some of those messages in a way that still send the message home.
Well, I think it's nice that that's what Kate's platform is giving us, that instead of a Facebook, we have a Facebook-like application where we can talk about these issues. I mean, I know people have seen my films and then gone to Brazil and volunteered with the groups. I'm like, wow, 4 people. I'm like, I reached somebody. And then with the last one, people were like, oh, I'm still quoting Eunice from seeing him in your film. I'm like, really? Great. So that we're going to have a platform is so exciting that is specifically around these types of films is great, because I think that's what's missing is where do we talk just about films in this life? Because you see people talk about it everywhere, but a focused place is hopefully successful.
And not to shamelessly plug my blog, but after I started to watch these movies, I realized they did have, a lot of them had a deep impact on me. So the Synergy TV blog spot that I started to write reviews. I wrote a review of I Am as soon as I watched them, and doing my best to write reviews because they do affect you. And it's like you have to take a moment to actually let them in. You know, after I saw Warrior, I was processing it for days. And you know, it really does come down to someone that understands these themes and messages to get to talk, to start that conversation. and to get people engaged in that. Since Warrior was the last film I worked at Lionsgate, I got Nick Nolte to start talking about forgiveness, and we tried to get that clip out there. We put it on BLEEP. So it's stuff like that, you know, that I think there's an opportunity to start to showcase more of these themes and how they affect us from these films.
Can I say one thing? Ira, I was wondering, you know, I was thinking about your question, and I realized, oh, I'm actually doing that. Like, the conversation I wanted to begin, and I'm now traveling the country and engaging in schools and colleges, and you know, I've been on from Oprah to Ellen, and I'm following it, and I'm going to follow it. This is not to blow smoke in any way. This is simply to say that I personally don't ever worry about stars, ever. I don't ever worry about movie executives. I take care of my own energy and spread it, whether I'm in your house tonight or whether I'm in the house of Ron Meyer, who was my old boss from Universal. That's it. They're on their paths. I don't have any real energy going out toward that other than, dude, have you tried it this way? Could you imagine if Jim Carrey had gone out and talked about the Truman Show and created a class for college kids around the Truman Show about, you know, the kind of TV show we're all in and we're being moved and molded and the authentic door that you can walk through? Holy smokes. So I just go out and kind of model that. So I would encourage all of us to go and model this, you know, and then my friends who are stars are coming to me now. I used to be bored at Hollywood parties because it would always be about like box office and whatever, and I used to think that the problem was out there. The problem was with me because I was about box office and those things, and I didn't come with a more authentic conversation. Now that I've stepped into it, they come up to me and say,
have real stakes. You know, that the character, somehow like the audience feels like, oh, well, this is giving me a rush of something that I don't get in my life. This person's getting voted off the island, you know, and you know, it feels like it's engaging beyond just the somnambulance of most people's lives, you know. So I think that maybe it's a very basic, natural thing that people are like drawn to this. It's not a good thing. It's not a pretty thing, but I do have an answer for you. Maybe it works for Kate. I've been contemplating this for a long time just because I think about, you know, one of the things about television that's different from film is that most people have like a relationship with the TV. It's in their house. It's sort of always on. They know their channels that they like to watch. And I really sincerely think it's possible to do a channel like yours that reconnects us to the natural rhythms and the rhythms of the universe, and if it's programmed in I have a very specific idea of like how you would program that thing so that it actually feeds and enhances your life in a way that maybe takes you away from the desire to just see ugly fighting and competition on TV. You know, I could talk about that now if you want to, or if anyone else wants to jump in on it.